I'm Lois Shannon, and I am the founder of the Women's Network, which is a platform and a resource and a really wonderful growing community of women that are coming together really for our healing. And when I say healing, I really am talking about the wholeness, that integration of really coming back into our full being as women, and really reclaiming, I think, the lost feminine for many of us that we've experienced. I know for me in particular, I really abandoned myself as a woman in an effort to succeed in a male world. And a lot of finding my own inner voice has been about listening to the woman or the girl inside of me and what she needs, and allowing her to really show up with me in the world. So we're super excited to be talking to Sahar Paz today about her work with the inner voice and finding your inner voice. The platform, the Women's Network, is going to have a variety of featured women, all with different teachings that are really about reclaiming ourselves and finding our own truth as women. So very excited to be talking to Sahar. And the beautiful work that you're bringing to the world, Sahar. Really excited to feature you on the platform and to have you come and do a workshop here in Boulder. And we'll talk a little bit about some of that at the end. And Kenya, if you want to do a quick introduction, and then we'll have Sahar introduce herself.
Sure. So my name's Kenya Breathing, and I've co-founded the Women's Network with Lois. And I'm very excited to have Sahar here talking about this. I have always been really fascinated with voice. I've been a singer since I was young, and I wrote my own songs when I was a teenager. And as I grew older, I just became more and more shy about sharing my voice. And I really locked myself away in my room whenever I would sing. And even though I don't really sing much anymore, I really feel that I've grown into my voice more and more. And my communication with myself has improved, and therefore with the rest of the world. So I think it's really important to find the inner voice so that we can find the outer voice we want to share with everyone around us. So thank you for being here.
And Sahar, if you want to give a little introduction to who you are and a little bit about the work you do.
Feeling so inspired by both of your words. You articulate so well the process of being a woman. So my name is Sahar Paz. I am a woman. I am the hero of this story. I'm a survivor of the Islamic regime in Iran. I'm also a survivor of the Iran-Iraq War. I'm a survivor of abuse and abandon. And I'm a former people-pleasing perfectionist. I have nurtured the little girl in me that was shushed in Iran and shamed when we first moved to the States. And I've entered into a decade-long state of permission, understanding how my inner voice works, building an intimate relationship with her so that I can speak vocally my worth. I can be a living, breathing example for my daughter and the women in my community. My mission here is to help women, men, and teens understand the connection between their thoughts, their emotions, and how that frees or keeps the voice that we all hear. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for building this platform for my voice as well as for others.
Wow, Sahar. I feel like we don't need to do anything else but just do that. I mean, if anyone has any doubt about what it means to really be in touch with your inner voice and to be able to express that so beautifully, that was powerful. Really, that was so beautifully stated and shared. So maybe we could just start with helping people to understand, what is the inner voice? What does that really mean for you?
Well, just talking logically and scientifically, we can have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. So most of which we don't tune into or hear. A lot of those thoughts are coping mechanisms or automatic reactions are based on what we've experienced, what we've adopted as our truths. So for me, it was this mess of melancholy within my thoughts that took me to my deathbed at the age of 25. And it was at that point where I really wanted to understand, what is keeping me in this cycle? I've pinpointed my pain. I understand where it comes from, but I can't seem to break free. it keeps, holding on to my wisdom and keeping me away from my intuition. And I was making decisions from that place. So this, my healing process really helped me understand my inner voice. But I think at the beginning of my life, when I was really growing up in Iran, in the Islamic Revolution, you're not really allowed to speak up. So I became internal, and then moving here to the States, I had those same messages told to me. So I was always just inside, as a lot of us women are, just analyzing and stuck in our head. And that could work against you. And I began to notice, what is the inner voice? How does she work? What are the tones that she takes? And ultimately, this is the building block for getting to know yourself, your process, what is true for you today, and leaving room and flexibility for the woman that you want to become, and all the women and the voices that are within you. We're pretty complex and awesome human beings as women. Yeah.
You said something interesting, because you said, I think many women feel this kind of silencing of going in. And I think it's interesting that I was saying this to Kenya earlier, that the silencing on the outside actually does become this silencing on the inside, or maybe it's actually the other way, that our feeling of kind of silencing our own inner voice. And I mean that, like, our inability, this was true for me, my own inability to really listen to the thoughts that I was having, to really understand the process that was going on in my head, which was very self-destructive, was then reflected on the outside. I mean, that I actually was not really able to be in connection, or I felt very silenced. I didn't want to share much of myself with people because I was embarrassed and ashamed of who I was, really. And I was just wondering if you could speak to how that happens, like in the work that you've done. What is it that really happens with women that we feel so silenced? Can you speak to that at all?
Sure. This really struck me when I moved to the States at the age of 8, Denver, Colorado. And I thought, okay, this is the land of the free. This is where women have the rights and American dream and everything is theirs. And I would say there are still obstacles there, but we have just really adopted these silent expectations as our own. And we are just robbing ourselves of our own voices and not, allowing ourselves to stumble. Women, yes, they've been held back, and they're also under a microscope and been ridiculed. So we've really turned that in on ourselves, and we analyze, and we don't want to ruffle feathers. And we see just the fact of using our voice as something that may bring some grit or some confrontation, and it doesn't feel natural. So it's decades and centuries and down our lineage, and I really believe it's worldwide. I was born in a Middle Eastern country, but I come here, and it's the same themes, it's the same emotions, it's the same ways that we hold ourselves back. And really, we've just lost that place of knowing when to lean into our wisdom, into our intuition, and knowing how to lean back and observe the fear and the guilt and respecting that process. We don't, because there's been a parallel to women, emotions, and weakness.
Right.
So we're not giving any room for that. And with that, we're stuck in here, and when we do speak up, sometimes it's just erratic and it feels so emotional and there's not much grace to it. And that's how it is sometimes. You have to, give that compassion to yourselves. And we're all in this, male dominant world, and not in the sense that men run everything, but that the energy of logistics and analyzing has really helped us bring our society together. So we all live in this energy of producing, myself included. Yeah. I run out of my masculine energy. Yeah. And by inviting the compassion and the empathy, I think you get to understand how your inner voice processes, and you can just let her free, let her make mistakes, let her squeal, let her quiver, and finally let her be heard.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing for women. I know I was very much a victim to it, the perfectionism. Like the reason I didn't share my voice in so many instances was because I was so afraid of saying something wrong. I was so afraid that I was going to, be punished in some way for making this mistake, or offending somebody or hurting somebody. There's been so much conditioning around how we use our voices.
And I think because of our innate need to belong, that's where we feel like we need to adhere to these conditions outside of us, and that is dictated by our voice. So an example I can think of is that until 4 years ago, when I moved to the States full time, I had a fully fledged British accent. I grew up in England. And within a month of being here, my accent completely flipped to the other side. I think because of this innate sense of belonging. I didn't do it on purpose. It was so subliminal and under the surface. But it really was like, oh, I need to sound like everybody else so that people don't always talk about my accent or how strange my voice sounds. So I think that for me was a really, really obvious shift in the external world, but also internally too, how I just allowed myself to allow others to define me.
Yeah. Well, some of that is natural. You know, we're influenced by the people and the energies we're around, and that walks hand in hand with be the woman with the voice. Because when you're that living, breathing example, you know, first you're going to stumble and it becomes more graceful, but you're really opening that door and that energy, not just for other women, but for everyone.
Yeah.
For everyone. And it's really just conversations, boundaries, negotiations, giving and receiving love and compliments, growing pains. They're all conversations, first within and then outward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was a really good example, Kenya. I really love that. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think something that I have noticed in terms of my inner voice is this voice of doubt, that somehow I'll get this little peak of my intuition, that feminine voice within that is really true to who I am, and then something else comes in to doubt it. It says, oh, but that's not true, because the other world, the world outside of me, says that can't be true, or doesn't want that to be true. So I think this process of finding our truth can be really difficult because of that voice of doubt. And for me, I can see that that's how I can be silenced a lot. I doubt my own voice, and therefore I don't know what I want to say, or even allow myself to really, truly listen to my truth. So I definitely doubt.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was finished.
I got so passionate.
I don't mean something.
That is the space. That's the space where your voice exists right now. You know, you say the affirmation and how you talk back. That's the space you want to tune into and see her, like almost like a voyeur, you know. And Jane Goodall put it best when she said it was curiosity. It was curious instead of judgmental or shameful. You know, why are you doubting yourself? What is the evidence there? You know, and it's just understanding that that's where your voice exists at the moment doesn't mean it's where it has to be. And knowing where it is and nurturing that doubt, and not nurturing it for it to grow, but, you know, being compassionate. Okay, baby girl. I call myself baby girl in those moments. Okay, baby girl, you have these doubts, but let's go back to the facts. These are mistakes that you have made, and mistakes are wisdoms that you stand on. So I bet you're smart enough not to make that again. Okay, maybe that wording or that way didn't come out. You'll find a new approach. You shouldn't have said yes again. Go back, call them, email them, figure out a way to say no. So for me, it's just understanding when I make that decision in that inner voice, that back talk, and tweaking that place.
Because we have so many voices all the time, whether it's, and I know you talk about this in your book, for me, you know, I hear that voice of doubt, but then another moment I'll hear that voice of encouragement, or that voice of just pure compassion, or, you know, there's so many different voices that we have. And I think just teasing them out and becoming aware of them is really where we need to begin, to even begin to really hear the truth, because there's a lot that can get lost in the weeds, I think.
You know, we're not allowing the process of these emotions. So processing them is feeling the doubt and the bad stuff as well as the good stuff. What were you going to say, Lois?
Oh, I was just going to say that was such a beautiful example, and also your response to it, of how we begin to really befriend and get to know those different voices. Because as Kenya said, we have lots of different voices, and when we're not trained and when we haven't practiced it, it's easy to get confused. And I think that's where the doubt comes in too, because we're hearing all these different things and we're not quite sure which one to trust. And I think exactly as you just explained it, Sahar, is as you you know, get to know baby girl and get to know doubt and get to know compassion, and do have that curiosity, that we develop that. It's almost like a muscle, I want to say, but you develop that trust and that inner knowing, and then you know which voices to say yes to and which ones to say thank you so much, but I don't need you right now. And you know, And it's really this kind of conversation that you have with these various parts of yourself. And it is a process. And I think that's what's so beautiful about your work is that you guide women to really go through that process, to learn what are those different voices in your head and how can you befriend them and get to know them and have them help you and work with you, right? So that they're not working against you.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a healthy side to your negative emotions. We're talking about these voices and, just to be clear, the way you're translating all your interactions or the emotions or whatever's coming up, those are the voices we're referring to. And there's a space where sadness is still hopeful before it becomes depression, or nervousness is still hopeful and you can approach it before it becomes anxiety. So it's understanding the positive side of your negative emotions, the positive of knowing the negative inner voice, and sitting there. And with that, you're able to know more and more what's wisdom, what's intuition, and what's BS.
Yeah. Right.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful, intimate relationship that takes time to be built, but it is a lifelong gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I often say it's like my team. You have your team in there and it's just like you would with a group of people. You're like, when to listen to certain people and when not to.
Yes.
So it's like the team in your head. So Sahar, this is maybe a good time to talk about why is this important? Why is this work important? And what does it really give to us? Because you just said it's a lifelong, gift, but maybe you can talk a little bit more to the benefits and why it's important to do the work.
Well, this is the building block to change, right? Most of us can pinpoint what our blocks are, what the insecurities are, where you get hung up. But then it's that, where do I break the cycle? How do I make this a long-lasting lifestyle change? And for me, it starts in the inner voice. It's really understanding how you process, how you see things, how you give yourself time to process, or do you not? Are you just shoving it down, shoving it down, shoving it down? And, as women, we're the nurturers of the world, whether we're mothers or not. And we're teaching ourselves how to cope. And by offering ourselves this process and bringing a voice to it, you're giving a really good state of permission for your family, your community, and everyone that comes to contact with you. The beauty of this platform and technology is we get to meet more people. But at the same time, what it's done to so many generations is not giving them a way to learn how to cope. And so for us women, we need to show this masculine energy that there are ways where we can bring the feminine, to bring the empathy, to understand our inner voice, to understand our emotions, and then bring that masculine energy back in to activate it, to use our voice, to respect our process, to show our children that it's okay to have these emotions, that there's not weakness with sadness and tears, that empathy is a muscle that everyone can have. So it's a beautiful ride to go on, and it changes not you, but everyone that you come in contact with. I could say this just from my personal experience of being a daughter to a mother that's gone through a lot more pain and a lot more shaming, and seeing how she has evolved by seeing me blossom.
Beautiful. And
for me, my whole goal and my whole frustration before all of this was really I wanted to free my mom, because it's her cycle that I'm breaking. And I was putting all my energy into her, and it was, draining me. And instead I said, I'm going to lead by example. And that's what I want everyone to do. And you feel more fulfilled. So you're more present. You enjoy life more. And you're graceful in the challenging times, and you know how to verbalize it.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think that's actually what many of us are doing, is breaking this chain, breaking this cycle that's been in existence for a long time. We're definitely living in a really amazing time of change, and that can be both scary and exciting for us as women, right? Because we're entering a new phase that we don't really know what this is going to look like. And I think being in touch with your inner voice is maybe one of the best ways to really have that inner compass, because it's a little chaotic. There's a lot of stuff shifting, and it can be very overwhelming. And so I think it's true that it really helps everyone around you when we do this work. And it's probably the best gift you can give yourself in terms of really staying grounded and centered with your own truth and why each one of us is here in this time to live the life that we're meant to live, right? Because as Kenya said, we can get so caught up in listening to all the other voices of what we should be doing and all these expectations that, for me, a lot of the inner voice is like getting back to my truth. Like, what am I here for? What is my purpose? What can I give to the world? And until we can, in some ways, silence the outside voices and really listen to ourselves, we can't know what our purpose is. Yeah. And what our gifts are. And I said to Kenya earlier, we were talking, I said, I think we're here to drop off our gifts. You know, there's nothing to collect. We're here to deposit. And so we're here to give the gifts to the world that we were born to give. And the inner voice is one way that we really tap into that. I'm not really watching the time, Kenya. So how are we doing? We're
doing good for time.
Sorry?
We're doing pretty good for time. So I wonder if Sahar wants to give us a little taste of her work, and maybe you want to share even 2 exercises with us.
Sure. Well, getting in touch with your inner voice can be a bit overwhelming because all of the thoughts that come in. A great place to tune in just to see where your conscious really holds priority is in the morning when you wake up and in the evening. Now, whether you want to write it down or just make note of it in here in your smartphone, it doesn't matter. But just notice when you lay down, what are the thoughts that are keeping you up? When you wake up, what are the thoughts that are rising with you? So just become aware. This is not judgment. This is just becoming aware. Is it a to-do list? Are you feeling bad because what you didn't do? And, going back to Lois and should, I have a line that I like to say is, you have one life. Why should all over it? We should, forget it.
Yeah.
You're not respecting the process. So, and as important as it is to know what's in your head, it is so important to get out of it. So I'm going to offer a simple breathing technique that you can do anywhere. We're born, we're meant to breathe at 100%. That means we fill up our chest, we fill up our ribs, we let that breath go down into our gut, into our wisdom, into the corners of our back. And when you exhale, it's your belly that comes down first, and then your ribs, and then your chest. So honoring this 100% breath 3 times, breathing slowly into your chest, into your ribs, down into your back. Then exhaling, belly, ribs, chest. If you have babies in your life, you'll notice this is how they breathe. It's that wave of air. We grow up, we hurry up, we lose about 80% of this breath. We just get stuck in our chest here. So when you're feeling that you don't have control of your emotions, when your mind can't stop running, when you're clenching your jaw and squeezing your forehead, relax your third eye, your space of intuition. Let your back teeth separate. Allow your tongue to fall from the roof of your mouth. And breathe that awesome breath that you have been gifted. It comes naturally. You take it for granted, just like your voice. And often breathing and letting your body calm down, because we feel this rush in our body and it keeps our voices shut. By bringing that grace to how your body feels when you're wanting to speak up, using that adrenaline to work for you, your breath is the best resource for that. So do this breathing. You could do it in front of anyone and they won't notice. And this helps you lean back into your wisdom, lean back into your intuition.
Beautiful. Just listening to it, I was like, should we guide people through that the 3 breaths? Because I can just, listening to your voice, Sahar, is like, I can realize, I see how calming it is for my nervous system. And I think
I'd happy to guide you.
Yeah.
All right, sure. So we're going to feel where you're sitting. So you may want to remove the flesh from your sit bones. No one's moving your beautiful booty out of the way. And closing your eyes and letting your hands rest on your lap. Okay. So just feel where you're sitting. And on your inhale, allow that breath to go up 1 vertebrae at a time to the crown of your head, maybe to the ceiling, perhaps beyond. And as you exhale, let your ears get heavy, let your bottom jaw melt down, let your shoulders melt down. Now you've created the space in your body for this 100% of breath. So inhale, filling up your belly, feeling your ribs expand and your chest rise. As you exhale, it's your belly button that goes to spine. Your ribs contract, your chest falls. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, belly, ribs, chest. Inhaling your wisdom, your intuition, your courage. Exhaling all that does not serve you. Inhaling permission and exhaling gratitude. Slowly open your eyes. So if you're not pregnant, you can always hold your breath, either inhaling and hold, then exhaling and hold. As long as you are not pregnant, that's another way also to really help you refuel, bring some fresh breath into your body, to help you calm, to lean back into your wisdom, and to trust yourself, to trust your voice, even if she shakes, even if she whispers, even if she doesn't speak up at first, you can always invite her back.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. You can just feel the whole shift in your body. And it's amazing in such a short period of time how grounded we can be and how much clearer we can hear our own voice. So thank you so much for that, Sahar. And we are super excited that you're going to be in Boulder soon. It's only, I don't know, 3 weeks away or something. And Sahar is going to be doing a local workshop here. So for anyone that's listening and interested to have a bit more of what you just got, we'll spend 4 hours with Sahar doing all kinds of beautiful exercises. So please come join us. And then we're really looking forward to offering an online course with Sahar so that we can reach many people through this amazing technology that we now have. I mean, it's not the same as being in person, but I'm always just amazed at, even here on Blab, that I can really feel my body in a very different way, just having that experience with you. So we are going to be offering online courses with Sahar. So there's various opportunities for people to get more access to the work that you're bringing to the world. Thank you so much, Sahar.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
You got the book, Sahar, as well?
Sorry?
Yes.
About your
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the book. Please tell us.
Yeah, I would love to. Well, a lot of the mini course as well as the workshop in Boulder is going to have pullouts from Find Your Voice. Ding. So we talk about that connection between your thoughts, your emotions, and the decisions that form from them. So there's so many voices, like we mentioned, the destructive voice, the nurturing voice, the voice of permission, the voice of guilt. So we get to know, most of us know the blocks. If you don't, in the workshop, we'll definitely help you tune into where that is. And then the most important part is we think solutions that fall in line with your personality. We take your masculine and feminine qualities and we help them work together to empower, to bring compassion and action, to bring love and logistics, empathy and boundaries. So I want you to find your voice. I want you to give that gift to yourself. Just as you may tune in for this 30 minutes, there is an abundance of time. You can make 10, 15 minutes to yourself every day, every other day, whatever works for you, to bring this gift to yourself. You only get one life.
And the book has these exercises and right, reflection exercises and so on. So it's almost like a workbook. I mean, there's a lot from the book. So yeah.
Yes.
Please, anyone listening, be sure to get the book because it offers a lot of really beautiful material and exercises for self-reflection. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, Sahar, thank you so much for joining us today, but really for your presence in the world. It's really, we are all blessed to have it. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. It's a reflection of what you ladies are putting out there. I strongly believe that. So it is my honor, and I cannot wait to see you in Boulder and bring all this synergy together. And I hope everyone out there in the virtual world will be able to join us either at the Women's Network for the mini course or in Boulder to meet us in person.
That sounds great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
everybody.
you.